Hey, Sven Rafferty here with SvenOnTech.com. We got the review of the Alpine iVA-W505. Let's go ahead and turn it on so you can see the boot up. We've already reviewed the iPod aspect of it as well as the general overall feel of the iVA-W505. This is a 2-DIN unit, meaning you have one DIN and second DIN all in one to give you that large, beautiful screen. You have your soft buttons down here for volume, mute, a programmable key, which we made for the phone, the imprint, which is its DSP, digital signal processor, which will kind of give you that optimal performance and sound for the driver, but doesn't do much for the rest of the passengers. Your source, you can scroll through your sources and so forth and get that source screen. And then the open button, which gives you the ability to open the screen and reveal to you this little slot here, which you input a CD or a DVD, and the item that you put in can, if it's a DVD, decode DivX as well as MP3, which is really nice. And of course, you can watch DVDs as you are in park, or if you have the rear video monitors hooked up, your rear passengers can enjoy a DVD, DivX, or so forth as you drive. What we're going to talk about here is that phone aspect that I showed you real quick. So we're going to do the soft key, or excuse me, the programmable key, and that gives me a selection of items I can do right here for the phone. We could do dialed input, received calls, phone book, voice dial, missed calls, and dialed calls. By pushing the button, you can see not much happens. Received calls, not much happens. Voice dial, not much happens. But my phone book, finally, something happens. And if I wanted to call Ace Hardware or a few other people in my list, I could simply go ahead and tap the call button by their name, and you get an idea of who's in my phone book. Got a big, large phone book. And we could go ahead and call the Apple Store here in Sacramento to give you an idea what it's like to call somebody. And as you can see, it's playing the music off my iPod while it's making the call. And nothing's happening. Even though you see the indicator showing that I have a connection, Bluetooth connection. You saw the phone book, which it actually previously downloaded. Here's the phone, and not much is happening, is it? This is an occasional problem that we see with the phone and the connection with the iPhone, and as you can see, I can't even hang up the unit, unfortunately. And this is a problem that we often see with the iPhone connection, which is unfortunate. And putting source and going back to where you wanted to go brings you back the display and your setup. If you do source and we say BT audio, this will bring you back into the unit. And as you can see, I turned it on, so it kind of stuttered the phone. Go into the iPod, and you can clearly see that the iPhone is connected to it. So why the phone aspect didn't work, it's difficult to say. It's hard to say if this is a iPhone OS issue or if it's an Alpine issue. Alpine does use the Parrot system for their Bluetooth connector, and in my use and history with the Bluetooth connections with various stereos, it's always been spotty getting the phones to work. Even though Bluetooth is a open standard, you can see that there just really is a difficulty getting the phone to work. When you do receive a phone call, a box will appear right about here. It will display the caller ID information with a hang up or a pickup icon. Hang up obviously sends them into your voicemail. Pickup will answer the phone, and then it will display the information right up here of the caller's name, the ID, and the time on the phone call. And for the most part, it works fairly nice. You have a microphone you can mount anywhere in your vehicle that plugs into the Bluetooth unit, and that goes under your car and then plugs straight into the iVA-W505. One other nice aspect of having the Bluetooth unit is when you go ahead and have an iPhone and you use something like this, TomTom, your TomTom information will immediately, the audio cues will immediately go into the Bluetooth unit so you can hear it. So let me see if I can give you an example. I'm not too sure if this will work, but we'll try Lisa.
Sie haben Ihren
Try Lisa again.
Sie haben Ihren Bestimmungsort.
So there you go. So what it will do, it will mute your...
You have reached...
And it's, into fairness to Alpine, it's usually not that bad. It's because I am playing something from the iPod, as well as trying the settings. However, when I have driven down the road with the TomTom and the navigational cues come on, it does mute the music perfectly, and this navigation audio cue is perfectly stated without any stuttering, and then goes back and unmutes the iPod, and the iPod music plays just fine. So for the most part, it works out very nicely. It would be nice to see, again, Apple, not Alpine, for the iPod to be paused rather than muted for any sessions such as a chatty navigational unit. If you're coming to a lot of turns and it needs to give you a lot of cues, instead of losing, a minute or so of information from your iPod, music, or whatever you may be listening to, it would pause it. If you do receive a phone call, the iPod does pause the music, and when you're done with the phone call, it goes ahead and unpauses the music and puts you back where you were. Other things you'll see is you have a pause button, speaking of pause, but you can't go back or reverse. And another thing you don't see is the album art or information. Again, lacking on iPod or Apple's part, which is unfortunate. And then, of course, you have presets, which don't do much for you, again, because Apple ignores the Bluetooth spec and retards it, so you don't get that much use out of it, unfortunately. Outside of having quirky connections to your Bluetooth unit, sometimes the phone not connecting, sometimes the phone connecting, the Bluetooth audio aspect of the iVA-W505 is very nice. It is very nice to just sit into your car, your phone connects, your calls come in easily, and you can have a very nice hands-free unit connected to your speakers in your car. The audio has been pretty good. Callers have not complained too often of echoing due to your pushing up the volume of the speakers and then seeping into the microphone of the unit here. There has been some complaints, and sometimes the noise cancellation of the Alpine does make the speakers a little low and difficult to hear your caller, which then of course pushes you to raise the volume, which then of course is when you start getting echo complaints. But overall, the B2 audio module of the of the iVA-W505 is pretty snazzy. It's pretty nice. It's bringing modern technology into your car, and hopefully Alpine can improve the connection to the phones, and Apple can fully support the Bluetooth spec. My name is Sven Rafferty, and I thank you for looking at this review of the Alpine iVA-W505 Bluetooth aspect for SvenOnTech.com.